Hey YouTube, Brian here, back with part 2 of the Post-Banlist Maliss combo guide. This time we're going to be showing a few 2-card combos that you will commonly be playing with in the deck. I won't be showing every single permutation of every starter and every single extender that you could possibly have, because then this video would be like 20 different combos. It would be like an hour long. But the goal with me showing you all these combos is not so that you can memorize them step by step and then just regurgitate it during your games. What I'm trying to do is just give you guys a baseline for how these kinds of combos go, and hopefully you can extrapolate from these combos just common lines that you can then apply to your full 5-card hands when you play an actual match of Yu-Gi-Oh! So that is the intended goal here. And so for the first set of combos that I'm going to be showing you all of the backup combos that we have, because generally our backup 2-card combos are the best combos there are, because backup lets you play through the most variety of hand traps, and you can still achieve your best end boards while still having your best resiliency. So she's kind of the best of both worlds, because later on we'll see that some of the other extenders like Bystials or Hare, while they do get to the same end board as our backup combos, they are usually a lot weaker to certain hand traps, especially like Nibiru. So to start, we'll show the Dormouse plus backup combo. Really, the combo has not changed all that much. Of course, we added TB11 to the combo, but a lot of this is you'll be pretty familiar with it if you've been watching my videos in the past as well. So we're going to go for the red ransom here, and of course we're going to go for the mirror to add Hare, and with Hare and wizard in hand, that's 2 layers of insulation against any kind of hand traps our opponent can have. Then we go for the SP to add even more insulation from a hand trap like Nibiru, and the rest of this is honestly pretty straightforward. Now here, if this is a post-side game, after you have sided back in GWC, I would definitely set your GWC 06 instead of the MTP 07 here. GWC obviously is just a much better insulator against possible hand traps your opponent might have, and of course you can always get access to MTP 07 on your opponent's turn anyway. But since I'm just doing this as a game 1 deck list with only the cards that I have in my main deck, I'm setting the MTP 07 here. And usually, even if you started with backup, I'll still make the Wicked here, just because the Wicked is an easy way to get additional follow-up, but then also banish your White Binder from Grave. Chain block your White Binder when your White Binder gets banished. That way your White Binder can get ashed by your opponent, because a lot of people will sometimes just hold their ash for the White Binder because they know that White Binder is a pretty decent choke point to hit at. In any case, you can see that in this combo we've drawn 3 new cards. We have our full setup and full graveyard loaded, and yeah, you can play through basically any hand trap with Dormouse backup. It's 100% the strongest 2-card combo in your deck. Alright, so of course, Dormouse and backup would be the strongest combo in the deck, since Dormouse is the strongest starter and backup is the strongest extender. But what about if we start with Rabbit, which is not typically a good starter? Well, most of the combo will be pretty similar, I would say. Obviously, because we started with Rabbit, we have to go through the Lizard in order to establish a 3rd body to make our red ransom. But after we do make our red ransom, you can see that we're kind of going for the same game plan, where it's we want to add the Wizard to our hand, add the Hare to our hand, and try to reserve them as long as we can until we can get the most value out of them. And we're holding our traps until absolutely necessary, so that if our opponent does interact with us, then our traps can be used to dodge, or we can even keep them set into our opponent's turn, just like added insurance, right? But here you can see that we're doing a pretty common play that you'll see now, which is holding TB11 all the way until the end of the combo, so that you can banish Cryptor, get a 3rd body on board, and then make your allied Code Talker above your Hearts of Cryptor. This way your Hearts of Cryptor can't be negated by your opponent, since when she points to something, her effective banish cannot be negated, and then your allied code here can still negate your opponent's cards. And yeah, this combo is pretty much ends on the same thing as the Dormouse combo, just a little bit less safe because you do run through the Haggard Lizardos, and Haggard Lizardos does kind of introduce a choke point with like Ghost Ogre, for instance. So yeah, a little bit less safe, but you still get to the same spot. Alright, so when we were doing the one-card combos, we never showed any lines with Chessy Cat because, of course, Chessy is not a one-card starter by herself, but Chessy with any extender is still full combo. So as you'll see here with the backup, we're just going to go same line as with Rabbit. We're going to use Lizard to banish the cat in order to get access to Ransom, and then Ransom is going to bridge us into the rest of our names. So hopefully you guys can see that these like kind of checkpoints that we're going through are like pretty standard for like most of your combos, especially if you're just trying to combo on turn 1. Now, if you're trying to play into a board, or if it's like past turn 1, you're gonna have to think a little bit more critically. But when you are just, you know, trying to set up a board and doing your bread and butter combos, these are things that you need to be identifying as like kind of your checkpoints for your combos. So as you can see, again, we held the TB11 all the way to the end so that we can get that additional body, and then Allied Code will summon back our 2 queens, and then we just pass turn on that. So same end board as before, Chessy is still full combo for us. Alright, now what about Underground? So the interesting thing about Underground is Underground actually has a lot more variances in terms of what you can do with your 3-card hand. So this 3-card hand, for example, can be played in a few different ways. So obviously you can lead with Underground here, and then use your backup as an extender. But depending on whether you are trying to play around like Impulse, for instance, sometimes it might make more sense to just normal summon the backup, and then use backup Effect Search Wizard, discard your Fuelos, and then use backup to make Lingaribo right away. That way when you play your Underground and you banish your Dormouse, you're not at risk of a single Impulse stopping your turn. Now, technically, even if you lead Underground and your Dormouse gets impulsed here, you could just normal summon Fuelos, make Almirage, summon your backup, and then do your backup combo instead. You would lose access to Dormouse, of course, which is not ideal, but you could still technically combo. Like I said, like there are like backup combos are very resilient to hand traps, but there are still ways you can kind of optimize around certain hand traps that like could potentially end your turn. So, like I said, if you're trying to play around Impulse, then I would just normal summon the backup first, make Lingaribo so that your Dormouse can't get impulsed. If you know your opponent's not on an Impulse deck, or just not respecting Impulse, then you can lead with your Underground here. And if you do lead with your Underground here, there's also a couple different options that you can go with. So obviously, you're always going for Dormouse, and then you're always going for White Rabbit in order to go ahead and set your TB11. But after you set your TB11, you have 2 choices. You can either link your, link one of your Maliss monsters into a Lingaribo, summon your backup and backup Search Wizard, and then make your Red Ransom like that. Or if the 3rd card in your hand is a normal summonable monster, if you remember in our Underground 1-card combo guide, I would just normal summon the Fuelos and just go straight into your Maliss Link 3 like that. And in this combo, that is what we're going to do. We're just going to normal summon the Fuelos, and we're going to go straight into Ransom. Now, the reason this is like much more efficient is because we get to add the mirror to our hand, and then we're going to discard the mirror using backup, and then we can banish the mirror off of like White Binder or March Hare later on to get additional value off of our Maliss and the mirror. And in this way, we don't have to play into something like an early Phantasme, maybe. Like if you had to link into Lingaribo, and in order to summon your backup from hand, maybe your opponent has a Phantasme, and then they draw into something that can potentially stop your turn. Whereas like here, Ransom is our first Link summon, so that once we get a Maliss Link 3 into rotation, everybody should know that that makes our combo a lot more resilient, and it gives us way more options for follow-up and recovery once we can get like any Maliss Link 3 into rotation. So even if your opponent drops Phantasme on you here, it's at least better than if they dropped you on a Lingaribo, for instance. But in any case, so here we're going to go for the SP again, just for a little bit of installation from Nib. We're going to summon our Chessy, go for our White Binder. White Binder is going to banish Maliss in the Mirror, and then we're going to go for a copy of March Hare. Then we're gonna set our 07 or 06 if it's post side, make our Wicked, summon our Martyr, and then of course chain block our White Binder using Wicked's effect. And then we can go for the standard end board of going for Cryptor, using TV11 to get the additional body, and then going for Ally Code here in order to summon 2 and passing turn to our opponent. Alright, so that's it for all of the backup combos. Obviously, with backup, you get your highest ceiling. But here, I'll just show one combo with Hare and then one combo with a Bystial, just to kind of give everybody an idea of like what those combo lines look like. Now, these I won't show every single variation because a lot of it is the same, whether you open Mouse, Rabbit, or Cat. Cat is obviously the weaker one because you know, she by herself doesn't really do anything. She just gets you a body in order for you to access your Red Ransom here. And if you do get Nibiru'd on your Dormouse summon here, you would be in trouble. So it is not really nib safe, but if this is all you have, then obviously this is how you would combo, right? So if we disregard Nibiru and we just put our opponent on actually having it, we actually end on pretty much the full board because we get to search the wizard here, link for our Cryptor, and then use wizard effect to summon 2 and link it into our ally code, summon back our queens, and then you can see that we still end on the full board here, just not a save into hand traps, which, as I mentioned at the start of the video, the difference between a lot of these combos isn't their end board, it's how resilient they are into hand traps. Alright, so just one last one here of Cat and a Bystial. So obviously Bystials are not seeing a super heavy amount of play right now because they just aren't great into a lot of the decks in the meta. Like Bystials aren't great into Yummy, they aren't great into Draco Tail either. They are pretty good against Mitsurugi, but the problem is you are rarely going to go against pure Mitsurugi, and you're probably just going to be matched up against Mitsurugi Yummy most of the time. And so like right now, I only play the Magmut and the Druid Worm, so this combo you probably won't do super often, and sometimes when I open hands of like a Maliss monster plus a Bystial plus like a backup, I'll just hold the Bystial to use as a hand trap during my opponent's turn, instead of using the Bystial as an extender on my own turn. And you can see here that using Bystials, we actually get an even slightly better end board than our typical full combo, because instead of our White Binder being here, we're able to put a Lingeribo here so that we can keep our White Binder in grave. And for those of you who have watched my videos in the past, you'll know that I always like to keep White Binder in the graveyard, so post side, for instance, if this MTP07 was a GWC06, GWC06 pairs much better with a White Binder that's in the graveyard. The best example I can give is if your opponent goes, for instance, Engraver, search Tract, and then goes Tract, you can chain your GWC06 to Tract to summon your White Binder, and then on your opponent will resolve Tract to add Lurry, discard Lurry, and then on a new chain, since your opponent is turn player, their Lurry will be chain link 1, your White Binder will be chain link 2, so you can use White Binder to target Lurry, Engraver, and like a name in your graveyard, or you can just target their Tract and just banish all 3, and that way you very cleanly deal with their whole Fiendsmith line, and you don't have to worry about like the Fiendsmith line like kind of getting multiple interactions out of you. So that's something that like makes this combo slightly better. And of course Lingeribo is like kind of an interruption depending on what deck you're up against. Like if your opponent is playing a board breaker deck, Lingeribo is actually genuinely a good end board piece to stop evenly match, for instance. I've had games before when my opponent baits my allied code talker and then thinks they're safe to evenly me during the battle phase. Big surprise to them, in battle phase I tribute my allied code talker for a Lingeribo and negate their evenly match. So don't forget about Lingeribo's like trap negation effect or his graveyard effect. Like it actually does come up very often. But yeah, so that's going to be the last combo of this video. I hope everyone has kind of learned something out of this video and that you're able to extrapolate these combos to form your own kind of plays and lines when you're in like an actual match. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments or come to our Discord. And yeah, good luck to all of you who are going to be bringing Maliss to premiere events of your own. See you guys in the next video.